Hey everybody, we're the Tri-State Sports Guys. I'm O. This is Mike. Got Tony D behind the glass.
Kidney stones.
Here's Mike T behind the ones and twos. We're at the top of the beautiful Cable Ready Studios here in Norwalk. Tony's feeling better. How you doing, Tony? Okay.
I'm almost there. I'm getting there.
Percocets are a good thing.
Absolutely.
Mike, we got some great show tonight. We got
Great show.
We got Big East basketball, a little special for everyone a little later. But we've held off long enough. Let's really get into baseball. And to do that, we have a special guest, friend to the show, Jimmy Pellegrino. How you doing, Jimmy?
I'm doing great, thanks. Thanks for having me, guys.
So yeah, I'm glad Jimmy's here. You know, a couple weeks ago we talked a little bit about Derek Jeter, about his possible move to the outfield. Again, since our last show, now there's talk about whether he's going to move in the lineup, whether they're going to have to ask his permission to move down the lineup.
Yeah.
Now, I know Jimmy. I've had many conversations with Jimmy about Derek Jeter. I know he's got some strong thoughts about Derek Jeter.
I've actually just met Jimmy maybe 45 seconds. I've never met anyone as passionate.
This guy came in.
As passionate a view about Derek Jeter as he does.
All right, so Jimmy, get into it. Give us just your broad overview on Derek Jeter. I'd love to hear it.
Well, you know, being a Yankee hater my whole life, I've really zeroed in on watching Derek Jeter, and I don't think there's anyone more overrated. And I know, like, it's the last couple years there's been a big thing. Derek Jeter's overrated. I've been saying it for about 12 years, at least.
Since I've known
10.
him.
Yeah. And the biggest thing is, it's not that he's not a good player. A lot of people think he stinks. He would not be in the major leagues if he stinks. But he's not all that. He's not everything that they say he is. And I have some things I could point out that
love it.
It's numbers, it's data, it's
Just facts.
Yeah.
Tony's
It's
already
what it is.
Who sat me next to this guy tonight?
That's right, man.
Tony's getting another kidney stone over there.
More Percocets, dude.
All right, Jimmy, what do you got for us, Jim?
All right. Couple things that always jumped off the page with me is, you know, every time that the playoffs roll around, you have to hear about the most postseason hits, all this crap.
And he's so clutch.
Yeah, he's so clutch. He's no clutcher than anybody else. I mean, he was 1 for 24 last year with the bases loaded. You and I still play.
Yeah.
When is it easiest to hit?
Yeah, exactly.
When is a pitcher trying to throw strikes?
That's why numbers are always gaudy.
He was 1 for 24.
He actually had there was only one person who had the worst statistics with the bases loaded, and it was like a pitcher or something.
Yeah, it was Tim Conway or something. But anyway, that gets me. But obviously, he's had more at-bats than anybody with the levels of baseball he played. So, all right, we throw everything out before the 3 levels of playoffs. But you never hear, and it is a fact, for a non-power hitter, he has more postseason strikeouts than anybody.
Yep.
You never hear it. So my thing with him is there's a bias, there's a protection in the media. It's not just the Yankees. He's a face of Major League Baseball.
Yep.
But tell us the truth. That's why I'm here. I am 1/100% of the negative that's going to come out on Derek Jeter when there is a whole propaganda machine that backs him and makes him look as good as everyone thinks he is. Right. There's zombies walking around probably thinking Derek Jeter's great. Only kidding, man. But my point is, let's just be fair about it.
Right.
I'm not going to claim he stinks because he doesn't stink, and that would blow my whole. I would have absolutely no creed at that point.
Right.
If I said something like that.
You think he's a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's
Famer.
one of those guys that changed the position a little bit after Ripken, and then he had the big 3. I really think it was the big two. With Nomar and A-Rod, and then there was Jeter. I mean, people can get excited about his 3,000 hits. I know 2,000 of them were bloops and bleeders and flares and tappers. And, all right, so he hustled down to first base, and, God bless him for playing that way. I just think he's not all that. And, again, it's not that he stinks.
Right.
But let's call it what it is. He's the 7th most feared batter in his lineup.
Right.
How could you be considered a great player if you're the 7th most feared batter in your lineup?
Well, I would agree with you that he is not, and Mike and I have talked about this before, he is certainly not the elite shortstop that people want to make him out to be. I'm not even talking about defensively, which is, at this age it's different. But even in his prime, he's never been the elite shortstop. But, and I am not a Yankee fan. But anybody, I don't care, you get 3,000 hits, there's a lot of, no one, even if they're all bloopers, nobody else is managing to do that. So I give him a lot of credit for his hits, give him a lot of credit for his rings. But I would say this, if you put him on the Milwaukee Brewers, he would be seen as a very good player.
He's Craig Counsell.
He's still a Hall of Famer because he would have 3,000 hits. But you know what he would be? He would be like a Kirby Puckett, like a guy that everyone's like, that guy was a good player.
Yeah, Paul Molitor.
And he's a Hall of Famer, but he would not be this. He's one of the greatest players in the history of our generation.
But would he have 3,000 hits?
No.
because the lineup that he's had behind him the whole ride, they pitched to him. Carl Everett said it when he was on the Red Sox. We don't go around. We go after Jeter.
Yeah,
we don't
right.
want to go after. We don't want guys after him having Jeter on base.
Absolutely.
They used to go after him. So it just makes you wonder if he was maybe a 3-hitter on another team and not a 2-hitter.
But
he was a feature player, right?
Would he get the pitches that he got?
Well, you're probably right
Trust
about
me,
that.
I'm impressed with his
You're
3,000
probably right
hits.
about that, but the counter argument, and I'm only doing a counter argument just so that way
We have a counter.
we're already so Met heavy here. The only counter argument is there are a lot of people on the Yankees, and he is probably the 7th best hitter, but there's a lot of people in the Yankees that have come and gone, and none of them have gotten as many hits as he
True.
has.
What frustrates me a little bit about Derek Jeter is when the Yankee fans of today want to put him up there as one of the greatest Yankees of all
It's a
time.
joke.
And you're talking about,
Well, that's a
I mean,
joke.
the Yankees, they got Joe DiMaggio, Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle, Yogi Berra. They got these kind of guys. He is nowhere near that type of player.
Why is he considered so clutch? I mean, I remember big home runs by Scott Brocious.
Yeah.
I remember
Jimmy
a
Leyritz.
huge home run by Soriano in Game 7, the 9th inning. He put him ahead in a Game 7. Bernie Williams has hit some big home runs. Tino Martinez. They were clutch. That whole crew was clutch.
You know what I think
But
it is?
he's clutch. He's the only one. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I think what it is when people think about big home runs, a lot of times, you know, this goes without saying, but home runs, they don't come as often. So sometimes people look at those and say, well, that was a great moment.
Yeah.
But you don't go up there expecting a guy to hit a home run every time. So if Barry Bonds goes up there and he pops out, it's not that big a deal. But Jeter, all he can do is really hit.
Yeah.
So when he gets singles every time, at least early on, he had, the first 17 games or whatever it was of the World Series career, he had a hit in every one. He was clutch, but I think that is really worn out, and people have, A-Rod all of a sudden goes 1 for 12. Everyone talks about it.
Right.
When Jeter goes 1 for 12, it's swept under the rug. And,
Right.
and I get that he's got a little, he's got some money in the bank there, so
Got
to
some
speak.
credits.
But at some point, people have to realize, you know what? He's great, and he is one of the best shortstops in the history of the game. But he is not in the top 2 shortstops, and he's not in the top 2 Yankees.
Yeah, he's not in
And
the top.
He's not.
No.
Yeah.
We could, without even thinking, and we're not even Yankee fans. We're not.
Right.
You are. He's not in the top 10. We can rattle 10
You can
names
rattle
off immediately.
10 hitters,
And it's
right.
not even close.
Right.
And the other thing with him is his top 3 moments. He hit that home run in Baltimore against Baltimore,
Which-
Jeffrey Mayer reached out and
Clearly
caught
it was a fly out.
Clearly it was a
A
crime.
312-foot fly out the right
Right,
field.
and he was known for the flip
Yep.
and the Mr. November home run.
Yeah.
Both of those happened in years that they didn't even end up winning the World Series.
Right.
So it's not like he propelled them with these great plays. And granted, he made the plays. I'm not taking
Yeah,
away
that
from
flip
him.
play to me
It's
is
almost
still
like
one of the-
Fisk.
Yeah.
They make so much about Carlton Fisk's home run. They didn't win the World Series.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
That's what's unbelievable.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Well-
so Joe Carter's home run
Okay.
was much bigger.
So what do you think about him moving in the order? Now, I'm of the opinion that I don't think he's going to make a big stink about it. I know a lot of people say I just don't see him being that kind of guy. To me, his image is everything, and it's not his image of I'm the leadoff hitter for the Yankees. It's I'm a Yankee, I'm the team player type guy. I don't think he would risk that image of causing a stir. He's never in his career been that kind of guy to, hold his breath and stomp his feet to do anything. So I do think this is the year they're going to have to make the decision to move him. Do you think he's going to make a stink, a
I
public
think he
stink?
will, not public. But
it'll become
like
public,
he's done
though.
in the past. He'll do it
No,
privately.
I agree with Jimmy. I think that you look at that, and it's going to be one of those situations where he's good at not really saying anything,
can't.
but he will still. The only place Derek Jeter will ever go if he's not hitting leadoff is 2. And
Right.
other than that, there is no shot because in his mind he's better than anyone else on the team, and maybe he is, but he's just too much of a competitor to allow himself to bat 8. There's
All right.
no way.
I thought one thing he had going for him was that he was a team player, and with what's happened recently over the years, I question that too. I think in his mind, it is about him.
Okay.
All right, I think the money he got was ridiculous.
Well,
they
that's
they
a joke.
overpaid him for 10 years, so
A
it
joke.
shouldn't be thank you money.
Mm-hmm.
They already gave him thank you money, $189 million a year for 10 years. You know,
Right.
$189 million over 10 years
Right.
for a guy that was like average 14 home runs, 72 RBIs.
Still one of the top 5 biggest contracts of all time. Still.
Yeah,
And that was signed.
and it's ridiculous. So I think he already got the thank you in that contract.
Yeah.
He should have did what was right because their pitching staff now they could still pay for people that they don't have right now because of his
Right.
contract is so big. But if he did the team thing and maybe didn't take that kind of money because he already got that money,
Yeah.
I think it is about him. I think he's
All
got
right.
an ego bigger than A-Rod. I really do.
All right. Well,
This is me.
Tony does not agree.
Tony is just
I'm sure he
grinding
does.
his teeth.
A-Rod is an icon for the ages. One of the guys.
He is one of those type of guys.
He is.
Yeah.
A-Rod or Jeter isn't.
Now, Jimmy, let's switch. Yeah, let's get on. It's way too much Derek Jeter talk for my liking.
Thank you.
Let's talk about some just overall Yankee baseball, and we're lucky, in Mike and I doing this show, and Tony, we've been talking to lots of people off the air, off record, and we have a source who has been telling me with pretty good certainty. He's a guy in the know, we'll say, and he says that by the end of May, Felix Hernandez will be traded, and here are the two deals on the table. I want to get your thoughts on these. He says he could either go to the Red Sox for Buchholz and Ellsbury, or to the Yankees for Hughes, Gardner, and a minor leaguer. He didn't know which one, but we assume it's like maybe not a Montero type because they're getting Hughes, but certainly a
One
top
of their
minor
other catchers,
leaguer.
yeah.
And he says he is certain it's happening. Now, who knows? That could fall through. But if one of those trades happens, which do you think is better? And from a Yankee perspective, what do you think about that trade?
Yes, me.
Yeah.
I think they're both no-brainers. I think Ellsbury is a good player. Buchholz is a good pitcher. But if you compare Buchholz to Hernandez, you're going to take Hernandez. Ellsbury was hurt all last year. Who knows what you're going to get from him this year?
And you could find another.
He might have some linger. Yeah, and they already have a stacked
Yeah.
lineup. They have one of the best lineups around.
Yeah.
That's a no-brainer. I also think it's a no-brainer for the Yankees.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, what's Hughes projected to be? Really, he's their number two. He's
Yeah,
above
he's your
AJ
number
Burnett.
two. Yeah.
But if you're going to have CC and Felix
Yeah.
1 and 2, I'll roll the dice with AJ.
Probably
Burnett
the
and
two
whoever
best
they
pitchers
got.
in the American League.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Now,
Yeah.
now that you're thinking that those are no-brainers, do you think that there really is credence to that? Like, would the Mariners do that trade? I mean, for Brett Gardner?
Why would they? I don't see why they would do it.
I
We've
don't
talked
get
about
why-
it before. They have money. They've shown that they spend money.
But he's making $20 million a year or something like that. $18 million a year.
How many years does he have left?
He has 4.
4 years left.
Yeah, it's
but
crazy for them to do
It-
it. He must be behind the scenes complaining, "We're not going to win. I want to be with a winner. I want to."
I can see that because they're far away from winning. They need so many pieces
yeah.
on offense.
But see, I don't think he's complaining. I think that they just know they're far away from winning. I mean,
But I'm
but
saying that
who's
doesn't
gonna
get
come
him any
watch him
closer.
play?
They have him for 4 years, so they have him for 4 years already. What are they going to do with that money to make them better over the next 4 years? What are they going to? They're going to have to pay Hughes eventually. I mean, he's probably arbitration
I don't
eligible in
know.
about 3 years.
The thing that baffles me about both those trades is you already have a guy like Ichiro, who, as great as Ichiro is, has no power.
Yeah.
So why would you get another guy in that outfield? Your outfield is going to be Ichiro and Ellsbury or Gardner. So you're going to have 2 of your 3 outfielders who have zero power and just
Yeah.
run. I mean, they are building a team like the '87 Cardinals.
I would almost think that it would be smarter for them to trade Ichiro.
Oh, I mean, I think.
Don't you think?
I think the problem with that is Seattle has a big Asian
Yeah,
population.
I agree with you on that, big time. I mean,
but
you have
if
to
you
think about
really
who's
want
going to
to-
come watch him play.
Yeah, but who's
boy.
going to come watch and play when they get rid of Felix? I mean,
True.
he is every time he pitches a home game. That's when they get a crowd, and that's when they get national televised games. They're going to get Sunday night games, hoping that they get Felix.
You got to
in the
remember that's not a great home run park. So
No.
you build your team
Maybe
around
they
the
are
park.
building a team based
And I
on
wish
just
the Mets
pure
would
speed.
do the same thing.
Yeah.
I wish they would get a bunch of guys.
Yeah,
Like,
I'd love to have
Carl
Ellsbury.
Crawford would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Didn't want to come to the Mets.
I'll tell you
but
what,
a guy
though.
like that would have been fantastic.
I feel like, and I don't know if this. I mean, this guy was certain that it was happening. I don't know that it's happening, but I almost feel like it's better off going to the Red Sox deal only because or it's more likely to happen only because I see the Yankees saying we like Phil Hughes, he's cheap. We can go spend that Felix money on someone else,
Yeah.
and still keep Phil Hughes.
Hold on, Jimmy. We're up against a break here. You're going to hang out for a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like I've been hanging. Well, I love it.
All right, we're
Thanks.
going to get coming up. We got an interview with Tariq Turner, the voice of St. John's basketball. Then we'll get back to some baseball and some other topics later on. We're the Tri-State Sports Guys. We'll be right back.